You're listening to Audiology. Support this channel by becoming a member and be sure to submit your requests for topics in the comments below. After the Battle of Connecticut Farms, there was a strategy to launch a two-front attack. Starting off from a place called Elizabethtown Point, one group was to move straight along Galloping Hill Road, passing through Connecticut Farms and Springfield. Meanwhile, a second group planned to take the alternate Vauxhall Road just north of Springfield, skirting the southern rim of the Short Hills area. Both groups aimed to reach the same strategic spot they had targeted on June 7th, Hobart Gap. This gap cuts through the Watchung Mountains and opens up a pathway across 11 miles of level terrain, leading directly to General Washington's main camp in Morristown. The British commander, Clinton, was banking on Washington, moving his main forces to counterattack Knyphausen's troops by swinging around the northern end of the Watchung Mountains, west of Newark, aiming to strike Knyphausen's right side. To get ahead of Washington's possible move, Major General Alexander Leslie was sent up the Hudson River with 6,000 soldiers. Their job was to block Washington's path and stop him from retreating back through the mountains. At the same time, Major General James Robertson was tasked with staying back in Elizabethtown with 5 regiments, which amounted to 1,865 men. Robertson's role was to guard Knyphausen's back from any surprise attacks by local militia forces, and he was also ready to provide backup to Leslie if the situation called for it. Knyphausen led a corps of about 6,000 soldiers. This group included the 17th Regiment of Light Dragoons, a unit from the Royal Regiment of Artillery and the British Guards Battalion, which was made up of members from the 1st Guards, Coldstream Guards, and Scots Guards. They were joined by the British 22nd, 37th, 38th, 42nd, Royal Highland, 43rd, and 57th Regiments of Foot, as well as the Hessian Prince's Lieb Regiment, the Hessian Regiment von Donop, the Hessian Corps of Jaegers, and 3 Loyalist regiments, the Queen's Rangers and the 1st and 4th New Jersey Volunteers. Blocking Knyphausen's way to Hobart Gap at Springfield and Elizabethtown was Major General Nathaniel Greene, with a force of 1,500 Continental troops and 500 New Jersey militia. Greene's army included Brigadier General William Maxwell's New Jersey Brigade, Brigadier General John Stark's brigade, though it was not at full strength and included the 2nd Rhode Island Regiment, along with a regiment each from Massachusetts and Connecticut, and the 400-strong 2nd Partisan Corps, led by Major Henry Lee. Early in the morning on June 23rd at 5 a.m., Knyphausen's troops moved toward Elizabethtown Point. Leading the way were the Queen's Rangers and the New Jersey Volunteers. They quickly overpowered the American Guards at Elizabethtown, capturing a few soldiers and 3 small cannons. As the American soldiers retreated, they warned General Maxwell, who then sent Colonel Elias Dayton's 3rd New Jersey Regiment to protect Galloping Hill Road and directed Henry Lee's 2nd Partisan Corps to defend the Vauxhall Road. However, when Knyphausen's Loyalist forces advanced, Maxwell and his brigade were forced to retreat toward Connecticut Farms. In response to the advancing threat, General Greene instructed his men to remove the planks from both the Vauxhall and Galloping Hill bridges over the Rahway River, making it harder for the enemy to follow. General Greene set up his left wing's defense along Galloping Hill Road, creating 4 layers of protection. The first line at Connecticut Farms was manned by Colonel Dayton's 3rd New Jersey Regiment and some local militia led by Brigadier General Nathaniel Hurd. Right behind them, Colonel Israel Angel and his 2nd Rhode Island Regiment, which was down to just 160 men due to sickness and expiring enlistments, were tasked with holding the Galloping Hill Bridge. Next, at a bridge crossing the west branch of the Rahway River, Colonel Israel Shreve with his 2nd New Jersey Regiment took position. And behind Shreve, Brigadier General Philemon Dickinson led a group of New Jersey militia as the last line of defense on the left. Over on the right wing, General Greene strengthened Major Lee's position at the Vauxhall Bridge by adding Colonel Matthias Ogden and his 1st New Jersey Regiment to the mix. As a backup, Greene kept the rest of Maxwell's and Stark's brigades ready and waiting at Bryan's Tavern, strategically located on the higher ground of the Short Hills. Lieutenant Colonel Joseph Barton and his New Jersey Volunteers advanced towards Connecticut Farms, where they encountered Dayton's troops strategically positioned in an orchard and behind thick bushes. Despite being significantly outnumbered, Barton's forces struggled to make headway. In a twist, Lieutenant Colonel John Graves Simcoe and his Queen's Rangers managed to circle around to the left of the American forces, attacking them from behind. This sudden move quickly overwhelmed Dayton and Hurd's forces, leading to Connecticut Farms falling into British hands. Hurd and some of his militia retreated north to bolster the defences at Vauxhall Bridge. Following this, Knyphausen shifted his strategy, redirecting the Queen's Rangers, the New Jersey Volunteers, the Guards Battalion, and the bulk of his British forces from Galloping Hill Road to Vauxhall Road. His goal was to bypass the defenders at the Galloping Hill Bridge from the north. At the same time, Knyphausen led a sizable force of 3,000 men, including the 37th and 38th British regiments and the majority of his German troops, straight towards the bridge. At Galloping Hill Bridge, the confrontation escalated as Knyphausen unleashed a bombardment from 6 cannons against Colonel Angel's defenders, who could only respond with a single cannon. When American artillery supplies started running low, James Caldwell, a chaplain in the Continental Army who had tragically lost his wife in the Battle of Connecticut Farms, made a creative supply run. Bringing a load of hymn books by the English clergyman Isaac Watts, he famously encouraged the troops, saying, "Give them Watts, boys." Despite intense fighting and 2 failed attempts to storm the bridge, the British regiments and Hessian Jaegers eventually crossed the Rahway River. Engaging in close combat among the trees, they forced the Rhode Islanders back to the bridge over the west branch of the Rahway, which was defended by Shreve and his 2nd New Jersey Regiment. The British pressed their advantage, driving Shreve and Angel back. However, a potential maneuver to encircle them by the British 38th Regiment and the Jaegers was narrowly avoided. Recognizing the precarious position of his men, Greene ordered Shreve and Angel to withdraw to Bryant's Tavern, effectively conceding Springfield to British control. Directed by Knyphausen, Major General Edward Matthew took his troops off Galloping Hill Road, heading north over to Vauxhall Road. Here they paused on a high spot above Vauxhall Bridge and used their artillery to attack the bridge's defenders until 11 a.m. After this artillery bombardment, Matthew launched an assault with the Queen's Rangers and New Jersey Volunteers crossing the Rahway River on both sides of the bridge. Faced with this attack, Major Lee and his men retreated nearly 2 miles to the upper west branch of the Rahway, where they cleverly positioned themselves in a staggered formation in the woods. This allowed them to effectively shoot at the road. However, they were soon confronted by Loyalist troops and forced to pull back towards the Short Hills area. Here, they received reinforcements from General Stark's 400 Continental soldiers and a cannon, bolstering their defense. The sight of increasing militia numbers on Newark Mountain's slopes made General Matthew pause and reconsider. He started worrying about a potential flank attack from Washington's main forces and decided to withdraw back towards Galloping Hill Road to regroup with Knyphausen. Upon their retreat to Galloping Hill Road and their arrival in Springfield, Knyphausen instructed Matthew to seize control of Springfield's northwest heights. Lieutenant Colonel Edward Thomas with the Guards Battalion led the charge, driving out the militia defenders. This moment marked the furthest extent of the British advance. Knyphausen, daunted by the gathering New Jersey militia on the Short Hills and having failed to secure Hobart Gap, opted to abandon the attack and return to Elizabethtown Point. He gave the order for Springfield to be burned, resulting in the destruction of all but 4 buildings, whose sparing is a matter of some historical debate, with some suggesting they were owned by Loyalists. The British withdrawal was executed along 2 routes, via Galloping Hill Road and Vauxhall Road. The Galloping Hill Road column faced relentless attacks from militia hiding in the woods, leading to significant British casualties. The column's rear guard, initially composed of Hessian Jaegers who were low on ammunition and suffered losses, was eventually replaced by the more successful 37th Regiment. Meanwhile, the column using Vauxhall Road was protected against militia ambushes by the Queen's Rangers, guarding their flanks and rear. Finally, under cover of darkness on June 23rd, Knyphausen and his division retreated over a bridge of boats from Elizabethtown Point back to Staten Island, marking the end of their campaign in the area. In the battles that included the clash at Connecticut Farms on June 7th and another skirmish on June 23rd, the British forces suffered significant losses. 25 soldiers were killed, 234 wounded, and 48 went missing. Out of these casualties, 85 were Hessian Jaegers, who were German soldiers hired by the British. On the American side, during the fight on June 23rd, the Continental troops had 13 soldiers killed, 49 wounded, and 9 missing, with a notable number from Angel's Rhode Island Regiment, which accounted for 6 dead, 31 wounded, and 3 missing. Thomas Fleming highlights in his writing, referencing the Pennsylvania packet from July 8, 1780, the militia's losses from June 7th to June 23rd were 10 killed, 40 wounded, and another 10 captured. Adding to this, on June 7th, the Continental Army suffered 12 killed, 50 wounded, and 13 missing. All added up, for both June 7th and June 23rd, the Americans had a total of 35 killed, 139 wounded, 10 captured, and 22 missing. These confrontations were some of the last major northern battles in the Revolutionary War and marked the end of British hopes in New Jersey. As the decisive action of the war moved south, The victory at Springfield wasn't given much attention, leading to its nickname, the Forgotten Victory. However, George Washington praised the New Jersey militia's courage and determination, stating, "They flew to arms universally and acted with a spirit equal to anything I have seen in the course of the war." Shortly after, the minor Battle of Bull's Ferry took place. The strategic defensive stands by the American forces happened near what is today the intersection of Vauxhall Road and Milburn Avenue, and also near Morris Avenue and Washington Avenue, showcasing key geographical points of resistance during these pivotal moments. Thanks for watching. Share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe for more content.